Okay, we have a 2006 Crown Vic with the 4.6, and I'm going to show you guys how I pull the engine out to make it a derby car. You could do this on your daily drivers. There's probably a lot less steps. Here we go. The first thing you're going to want to do is unplug all the wires going to the engine. If you're using this as a daily driver, unplug them. If it's a derby car, cut them. The next thing I'm going to do is get underneath here with my hacksaw, cut the drive shaft right there, and if you haven't already, you can go ahead and cut the exhaust off while you're down here. Now I'll scoot to the back of the car and do the same thing. If you are doing this for a daily driver, you probably don't even have to take the you don't have to cut the drive shaft, just unbolt it. Once you get your drive shaft cut off or removed, there is two 15mm bolts in there. You take them out, and then the transmission is unbolted from the cross member. I'm not sure if you have to remove the radiator, but it helps. So we are going to drain the radiator. Y'all do it however is easiest for you. Now we'll just let that ferment for a little bit. Now once you get the radiator drained, you're going to want to disconnect the tranny lines from the radiator. Once again, y'all use whatever method works best. Everybody's got different tools, so when you put it down in your catch bucket, let that sit for a little bit. It appears there was like an oil cooler, a line going in, out, I don't know, could have went the other way, in, out, but y'all know what to do. We eliminated it. And then when that gets done dripping, we'll come over here. We have power steering cooler that is attached to all this. We're going to you know, clip it, get rid of it, and then the fan, the radiator, condenser, and all that will pull right out. Now if you are doing all this for a daily driver, I would recommend, you know, marking your radiator so that you don't get it confused with all the other ones, but that's just me. Always take the car somewhere and have a mechanic remove all the Freon, but after the Freon's out, you can just cut the line, unhook the lines. Now I'm gonna go ahead and unbolt that canister just so it's out of the way. And while I'm at it, I'm going to unhook my brake lines and whatever this thing is. Just take it out because I'm taking it out anyway, and then I'm pretty much done with the saw. You know, we've come over here and went ahead and, you know, unhooked those lines and unhooked the heater core lines because I always forget about those. And take this little ground off because I always forget about that one too. Okay, so we have the transmission mount unbolted. Your motor mounts are going to be in this hole on each side. I think it's an 18 millimeter. Once I get the front motor mount bolts out, I'm going to jack up the transmission just a hair to get the transmission bolts up above the hole. Now, I took the alternator off, one, because they paid me like $5 or $10 for it. I thought I'd try using the alternator bolt there and hooked on to that bracket back there. If you find a better place to hook onto these, go for it. Like I said, I'm not a licensed mechanic. I'm just showing you how I do it. I usually get the motor mount bolts pulled up a little, and then grab me a long pry bar and just start shaking the engine and try to work it back and forth while pulling it forward. before we started this, I did have the transmission cable unhooked. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but use this time to check and make sure nothing's getting caught up, and unhook or disconnect anything that you might have forgot. Like I forgot the power steering line, so I'm going to get that disconnected and then she'll come out. There it is. Okay, if you followed my video to a T, you'll end up with the drive shaft yoke sticking out of the transmission like this. Be careful when pulling the engine and transmission. If you knock this out, all the transmission fluid is going to run out all over the floor, and it's taken me like 3 or 4 times to learn that mistake. This is what the engine bay looks like with the engine out. Like I said, we are doing this for demolition derby purposes. If you're doing this on a daily driver, you might want to be more careful. Don't cut stuff, unplug it, unbolt it. We're trying to get these engines out as fast as possible. Usually takes us about a month to turn them into demolition derby cars. So this is how I pull engines. Hit like, hit subscribe. Here we go.